A very good evening, everyone. So we are in the next episode of webinar series, and today we have four panelists, uh, four panelists with us, and the topic is marketing and consumer behavior during COVID-19. So today's speakers are Miss Nadia Kanwal, Director of Digital Marketing and founder Nads.com. Then we have Sanju Skaria, Logistics Specialist Service Marketing. Then we have Subhan Ali, who's a Senior Relationship Manager, Morris Garages. And then we have Rishi Kumar, who is a Supply Chain Engineer. So today we are going to discuss, and all our speakers are going to share their views and their perspectives over marketing and consumer behavior during COVID-19 and how it has all changed, and how are we seeing a lot of difference in the marketing behavior and the consumer behavior during after the COVID-19 has struck. So I would directly transfer the mic to Nadia, and let us start with the presentation.
Thank you so much. Good morning and good evening, everyone. And thank you, Empower People, for giving me a chance to speak with an amazing audience. With that, I would like to present marketing and consumer behavior during COVID-19. I'm going to quickly share my screen so that everybody can see the slides and we can take off. Just 1 second. Okay, perfect. Can everybody see my screen? Oh, perfect. Thank you. So it's a very interesting topic today because at this very moment, everyone from all over the world is evolving. We are rediscovering their needs, ourselves, finding space within their own lives, realizing how we used to live and how we can bring change. For a marketer, this era is going to be very interesting because we are all living on that edge of change. And we don't know yet what that change is really going to be like. And I hope that, I hope this presentation we're able to connect with everybody across all facets of life. So let's begin. So life before COVID, we looked at our world, we're looking at our world life before COVID as a perfect world. These are the classic scenarios. We used to go to the grocery stores. We used to find the perfect red lipstick. Our kids went to school, interacted in their classrooms. We went to work. Our kids played in the park. People went on dates and actually held hands, right? So this is life before COVID, which is the classic world. But actually, this was the life before COVID. We struggled. We didn't have time to go to the grocery stores. We ordered out. We had so many options that we needed to find that red lipstick, which red suits me, because there are 40 different shades of red. Our children were on iPads, even in classrooms. We were overworked. In US, in New York City, like we used to work 15 to 20 hours a day. We built indoor playgrounds because we didn't have time to take our kids to the playground. So there are playgrounds indoors. And then when people went on dates or dinner, everybody's on their cell phone. So honestly, this is the life before COVID, and we did struggle. So here's a tweet from one of the marketing CEOs. Lockdown poses its own mental health challenges. But can we please stop pretending our former world of long working hours, stressful commuting, hectic crowds, shopping centers, infinite choices, mass consumerism, air pollution, and 24/7, everything was a mental health utopia. So we are now dreaming of this. We want this back. We want to go to the grocery store. We want to have family time. We want to send our kids to school. And we're okay with having just one choice of red lipstick. We don't need 40 choices. We just want to wear that one shade. So life is becoming more and more simple. I wanted to also start with showing the consumer's journey loop. In the normal world, when consumers would discover you, whether you're B2B or B2C or nonprofit, We used to go on social media and discovered a brand, or we were, retargeted with Google ads or Instagram ads. And then our journey, step 2 would be going to the website, doing our research, finding who that product or service or nonprofit is. Then we would browse and compare that brand with other brands. And then we either enjoy a purchase, or we leave a review, or we share our sentiments on Facebook. And step 5, we would then tell our friends and family, word of mouth, oh, we love this brand, because peer-to-peer marketing is very strong. Now, this is a normal consumer journey loop, how one person, one consumer discovers a brand or service or a company online. And I wanted to share this because obviously this loop is now sort of disrupted, and we'll go into it. The consumer is really us. As marketers across every industry, we use data to make analysis. We targeted audience based on what our product or service is, and then we would reposition our marketing strategies. And this applies to across all industries, all facets of life, whether you're a small business or big business. What is digital marketing? I wanted to define digital marketing before I dive into what consumer behavior is during COVID, because traditional marketing is today's digital marketing, and it's inclusive of your brand values, your logo, which is your identity. What is your purpose of being? What is your story? Who is your target audience? Who is your persona? Persona means are we targeting Gen Z or millennials or Generation X? And each of those generations are on different digital platforms. Older generations are on Facebook, younger ones are Instagram, and the younger than them are in TikTok today. What is your website look and feel? Is it easy to navigate? Is it simple to understand? Is it consistent with your brand values, your story? Social media, we want to engage with emotion, a voice, a tone, and that is our customer service today. During COVID, this is the most important channel, I would say, is evolving, because there's Twitter. Everybody's tweeting. President Trump is tweeting. Everyone is letting out their frustration. Everyone is talking to each other. We're learning really what the world is today, and now what we want out of it. Paid media, content creation, collaborations and PR, and fulfillment. Digital marketing is also about fulfillment. I cannot run an e-commerce business without a streamlined, logistics, warehouse logistics, or who our wholesale partners are. Manufacturing is affected because the US is dependent on, other countries like China for raw materials and finished goods and so forth. So digital market is inclusive of all of these bullet points. And these are all affected in different ways. Sustainable business. Sustainable business means, how nice are we to each other and our planet? And this has been very popular in the past, 5 years in marketing, where everything matters. Our packaging matters. Our copy matters on the packaging. We think global, we act global, and less is more. These were the fundamentals and foundations of marketing since at least 5 years. But COVID is a reminder and a reality check that our world is much, much smaller than we thought. We looked at China as a foreign nation. We looked at Europe as an elite continent, but we're all one right now. So when we think about think local, act global, I like to say it's think local, act local. That's the shift during COVID. Today's heroes are local frontline workers, our police. That's a controversial topic today. Our bus drivers, our essential workers are our heroes today. So I hope that this webinar provokes some borderless and thought-provoking conversations or thoughts. So now let's dive into consumer and purchase patterns. We all know, we are the consumers, so we all know that shopping behavior is evolving. With social distancing, which is the new normal, Consumer habits are adapting in real time. Each day as a marketer, we're learning something new about a consumer. So we have to be real time. We have to react in real time because today is different than yesterday. This is how fast consumers are evolving. 56% of consumers prefer to spend less today. And what we have seen is a shift where consumers are spending towards e-commerce. Obviously, towards e-commerce because we are working from home. We have to be inside, so we are shopping online. And it's not going to be easy going back to physical malls or brick and mortar stores. So online purchasing is going to continue to actually increase in the next, a few years to come. And people will adapt to spending more time at home, especially with work from home and homeschooling. Luxury industry is affected because there's a decline in purchasing because now consumers want to save, spend less, and only spend on food, health, and medicine. Second bullet point, consumers are considering new forms of entertainment. What that means is that, we're signing up to subscription services like Netflix, Spotify. We're increasing our online video content on YouTube and TikTok. Generation Z, which is age group, I would say between 12 to 20 years old, they're the highest consumption. And they're the ones also part of this whole, chaotic world today. And so it's a perfect time for a marketer to reposition their brands to target this young audience who do not have a lot of distractions yet. Brands are being held to a new standard. What that means is that what we had before is no longer enough for our consumers. Consumers actually want to know how we are surviving, how we are operating in these uncertain times. Obviously, it's clear that future consumer buying decisions will be affected by how brands respond to COVID-19, and consumers do expect us to change and shift our business priorities and resources. They want us to support by donating or partnering up with other brands and even nonprofits because then we're part of that change. This is something that has been ongoing, but it is extremely, extremely much more important today. So state of the industry, what does our world look like in terms of communities and the state of the industry? Strong communities are our lifeline. This goes for every business, again, for every consumer. Our communities, if they're not strong, they're going to break, and we do see them breaking. The existence of a brand's reasons is challenged. Does a consumer need us anymore? Maybe they don't need our product that we used to sell anymore. We have to shift, we have to change priorities, or we're going to go bankrupt. Digital acceleration is threatening the landscape of a business. Going back to social media, if we have to engage, we have to reprioritize our business because everyone is online right now because they're at home and they have time. Streamlined processes are forcing a more sustainable industry. Definitely from a manufacturing perspective, a brand wants to know, what is this made of? What is this product made of? What is this packaging made of? And is it sustainable? Is it good for our planet? Is it hurting our industry in any way? Whether it's child labor to human labor, how are those workers being treated when we're raw materials are extracted from caves or underground? I have a background in beauty industry, and we do look at ingredients. We do look at formulations and where they're sourced because our customers are so smart that they want to know and they can read through the fine lines. The traditional system is crumbling, especially in fashion. Definitely traditional system is crumbling because our consumers are smarter today than they've ever been in history, I feel. And these consumers, they cannot feel and try out anymore. They cannot go to a store. They cannot touch and feel the product. So fashion is hit hard, obviously, because the priorities are different today. We want to spend money on food, health, or maybe helping somebody else. Lastly, profitability is on a pedestal. Yes, it is. We have to come to a reality where, yes, we may have layoffs in a company. Our profitability is affected. Our budgets are affected. marketing budget is being cut down. So what can we do about that? And I'd now like to go into pandemic's recessionary pressures, how it is shaping customers. Obviously, we know pandemic has caused fear, isolation because of government lockdown, unemployment, extreme changes in consumer behavior, where they're only spending on essentials like hygiene products, personal care, and groceries. Quarantining at home, social distancing is producing unique behavior. And definitely, it's affecting our physical and mental health, which is now more important today than it's ever been. We don't realize that staying home can definitely, because of isolation, lack of human interaction, can create depression. So, because our consumers are not all about work anymore. They're actually trying to live more holistically today. We all know that we are all trying to do that in different ways. However, consumers who have to keep their jobs out of desperation, they are actually working long hours. They're not working 8 hours, they're working longer hours than they did before because they're working from home and they need the job. So it's desperation. Consumers today are actually, we all know, going into home-based fitness, virtual socializing, video conferencing, online content is spoken before, everything's remote and it's all in a surge. This is an opportunity for a mental shift in individual and collective consciousness. And it's important that we look at it as a collective consciousness to be able to connect with our customers and our community, very, very important. Understanding current consumer mindsets and behavior is a first step in the process of reacting to what will most likely be many phases of consumption affecting trends. Oops. I'm sorry. Marketers have to stay flexible, but not wait until the recession is over to do what we used to do. This is a little bit of tricky because in marketing, we have to adjust our strategies if we're going to survive in the long road. And consumers today are very open to trying new products because they're waiting for the economy to improve, things to improve. They have hope. So we don't want to wait until the recession is over. We can innovate right now at this very moment. Okay, so I'm going to quickly dive into this where consumers expect additional help, and that is from our government. They're looking for affordable houses. They're looking for, student loans forgiveness, and this is very true in the West, especially. They're looking for federal welfare benefits, unemployment benefits, schools food program. I want to touch base on this because living in Jersey City, in New Jersey, just near New York City, we were shocked to find out that a lot of the low-income children actually depend on school to provide food. So this school system has been every morning and afternoon giving breakfast and lunch to children who do not come to school. Very interesting. Also, communities have bumped up their domestic abuse support. I am going through all of these bullets because this affects marketing today. Consumers' healthcare behavior. We obviously are learning more from the media than our own healthcare providers. So what that means is that consumers are taking a more active role in the healthcare system. We're discovering what works and what doesn't work. And we're part of the remake of the healthcare system. And these are our consumers who are participating in different ways. They're participating in clinical trials. They're sharing their own personal data so that the healthcare system can come up with new treatments. Consumers' trust has also shifted. We don't trust healthcare providers anymore. We have a lack of trust, so we're doing our own research. Telehealth visits. For someone who's healthy, has been calling the doctor, doing video conferencing to talk about their health issues, and it's been working. They're getting their prescription through that video call with the doctor. Now, the result is that businesses can play a bigger role in protecting the health of their workers and employees. What that means is a lot of businesses have actually increased one or two benefits for their employees. So their employees are healthy, their workers are healthy. And this is an opportunity for a marketer to increase their communication and loyalty, whoever their customer is. So the customer is trusting your brand, customer is trusting your sustainability. There are four types of customers that this pandemic economic crisis has actually defined. I'm going to start with the 25%. 25% of people are very careful right now. They're spending very carefully because they're worried about the long term. And this customer is very anxious. They're the hardest hit customer today. 58% are careful right now, but they're hopeful for the future. They're financially stable, but they're being careful and they're hopeful. They're less aggressive about spending. 15% are financially well off and they're not worried at all. But this segment is only in the top 5% of the income bracket. 2%, they live for today segment. They're the younger customer. They are probably renting and they're spending more on life experiences rather than stuff. So they're living each day, each moment as they wish. This is a quote from a small skincare brand who actually are creating now sanitizers. They have to shift their business model. We want to create a line of sanitizer products, basic hand sanitizers, spray, gel, foam to service the market. They're going into a whole different model. And this is a perfect example how especially small businesses are shifting their priorities to meet the customer's needs and demands. So what's next? Will we be given our immunity passport to be able to travel? Are we going to be, the future of businesses and governments around the world? We're living on the edge. There are lockdowns in different ways, in different speeds, in different places. What is the world going to look like? The future of consumers is a reality check. We are starting over. We have to adapt to the new normal, and we have to start building new dreams. So what can we give our consumers who are, in the percentage of where their anxiety, they're losing, they're feeling depressed. Consumers are realizing the, life and death and survivors, what it all means. There's a migration of workers to their homes in India. There's a lack of a system. There's protests. There's police brutality. They're suffering, but the earth is healing. So as we go into a deep recession, I would say, or beginning of a global reinvention, our consumers are starting over. They're starting from the basics. And that's the new normal for them. They have to wear masks. They have to use sanitizer. They have to keep social distancing. They cannot meet their family members. And we have to help them build their new dreams. So just a couple of more slides left. Rethinking our marketing strategy. Many brands are experiencing very high sell-through because they're a very successful online e-tailer. And some brands have to start rebuilding their brand all over again over time, and that's a new challenge. So embrace the opportunity for a mindset shift. Flexibility from a B2B as well as a B2C perspective is extremely, extremely important because B2C survives based on B2B. And it's a very, very transparent thin line here because it's all one entity today. There is no separation. Consumers understand and they know where we're sourcing our raw materials from. Adapt your internal scorecard to measure success. Let's revisit our data that we use every day to predict who our customers are. We have to adapt every day to be able to measure what's working, what's not. Let's talk to real people instead of using just data, because these are our friends and family or neighbors or community are talking. Listen to them and adapt your marketing strategies accordingly. Create a value where it's most needed. And that varies by different brand, different company, whatever your objective is. Navigate your messaging challenges with creative testing. We talk about creatives, which is images being used in your advertising, banners, websites, social media. Be careful with your messaging to be able to be sensitive to what's going on around the world. I was talking to a brand yesterday, and I messaged the brand and I said, you're being very insensitive about how you're approaching this customer. And it was a very bad conversation. And I was very surprised to hear and see that this brand is sourcing its fabrics from India and Pakistan here, but you're being insensitive because you're saying the world is open. And I said, no, the world is not open. That's why I'm asking you the timing of the delivery of this product, because brands have to be extremely sensitive and careful how they're communicating across the board. Let's look at audiences where they're uncovering the new normal, and that includes protesters and the migrant workers. So Nads.com, as a founder of Nads.com, I decided to think local and act local during this pandemic. I'm working with local artisans in Jersey City who are sourcing fabrics from Mexico to be able to make this mask, and making this mask accessible and sustainable, 100% organic cotton, affordable to be able for everybody in our community. So this is an initiative that we're collaborating with locally. Key takeaways. For strategy, people out there, this means gathering real-time data every day, so that we can uncover new behavior, so we can rethink our goals and successes, and we can find new insights. So here, community growth is an important metric today. Think local, act local. We're no longer in a world where we're going to think local and act global. We have to build our communities through marketing strategies. And that's all about flexibility and adapting and listening to our community. Physical retail, it's uncertain. It may come back, it may not come back for a few years to come. And that's a reality. So we have to shift our businesses to online or subscription. Consumer shopping habits are still changing, and we're learning about it every day. Marketing doesn't have to be expensive to be effective. And that's why talking to real-time people is important. So as we're learning, we're catering to their personal needs every day. Could be our neighbors, could be anybody in our community locally. We have to reallocate resources and be flexible. What that means is on a supply chain end, from a logistics standpoint, if you have to reallocate resources, go for it. If there's a loss of a job in your logistic, maybe shift that person into your marketing team instead. So there's a flexibility. People may have to wear different hats to survive, and that's all about innovate. So let's rebound, reboot, and reinvent. And this is going to be a marketing framework that I strongly believe in as we're exiting out of COVID-19. Thank you. That's it. Oh, thank you so much. I hope everybody heard me.
Well, Nadia, yeah, you've covered a very broader prospect with the consumer behavior, and of course, your points were very valid and really to the mark. There is not much to add on it as a panelist, but I believe yes. When it comes to, because I am from a business to business background, and I would say the prospects remain same more or less. The way the consumer behaves, the business entrepreneur also behaves in the same manner. Certain patterns which we have seen, as you mentioned, in last 2 to 3 months is quite different and quite common with a business entrepreneur as well. We have seen that almost 50% of the behavior of an entrepreneur or a business business entrepreneur behavior is almost the same. We have seen that they have cut their cost substantially. We have seen that they have basically distinguished, like a consumer, they have distinguished a difference between what what they really need, what they really want, what they really desire. Yeah, these distinctions has been clearly made. The decision time taken on each and everything we have seen in our professional life as well, that it's taking time. People are sitting on it, and they're really thinking over it, whether it's really time to go for it or not. When I say yes, the need, the want, and the desire, the things which comes on need, want, and desire also changed. Taking that into account, when we used to say yes, once upon a time, when we say need was just food, shelter, and an environment, now being internet connected to internet is also come as a need to us. So the definitions are changing with the time. We also seen a pattern of people who have been staying calm. They are basically carrying on the way it is. Yeah, and I think everybody, most of the entrepreneurs are doing the same thing. They are just waiting. They are trying themselves to sustain in the current market as far as they can, because they probably looking at revivals in the market. They're probably looking at governments to take part in their business liabilities, or in their business decisions. So those are things which we have come across with. The other thing is, liquidity is become suddenly a very important thing for each and everything. Being a consumer, being an entrepreneur, the liquidity is something where right now we can play around, and everybody is basically saving for the rain. Everybody, that's one of the reasons that we all are stopping investing on anything. So I would, being from the business perspective, I would say people are stopped investing. You have seen a lot of held back on projects. We have seen a lot of infrastructure projects, refineries, power projects coming into a hold, whereby we've seen the banks are not trying to invest, because of course once they invest, you make a refinery, you make a powerhouse, and you realize that after 5 years of construction, you start getting the benefits of it. The banks start getting their interests and the money back. So this all has to happen with a time frame, and that time frame nobody can predict at the current moment. So that's where we have seen that people are saving. We have also seen keeping the money stagnant. People are hibernating as well as spending. So they are looking the window of opportunity, which the correct window of opportunity where they want to spend it. So I think that the behavior, more or less, whether it's a consumer, or it's a entrepreneur, or it's a business house, it's replicated. So that's what I wanted to put forward. But in the other hand, there are also factors which is actually coming up with these kind of decisions, or these kind of behavior. One is, of course, undoubtedly monetaries. So it depends upon your current monetary capabilities, that how long you can run your business, or how far you can make your investments done in the market. So it's something which is, again, depends on how good money you have in hand. We all are looking forward for government supports, and I think each and every country, there are initiatives done from the government. There are people at various levels who have done at the commercial. If you're talking about the real estate, most of the real estate has started cutting in the Middle East, has cutting their the rent levels. They have eased their rent levels. So these are things which are also helping to decide the investments, the consumers, to how to invest. The other factors, I would say, the political scenario. We clearly knows, I mean, not widely in it, but we know the political scenario that surrounds us. It's a virus that come from somewhere. There are people blaming on it. There are things which are going very negative right now. The relationship between the countries are going really bad. So these decisions will also basically reflect on the future investments that's going to happen, big investments. So that's what I said, maybe it a powerhouse, maybe it a EPC, a big refineries constructions. But this will be all held back for some moment to understand that where is the world going. And we see that once we are clear that where is the world going, then probably people will come up and There are certain economies which may revive. There are certain economies we may not revive in so quickly as it is, because we currently are looking at the consumer, the retail phase of it. But there are a lot of other things which are going back of it. There are a lot bigger things which are going back of it. I also want to highlight on medias. Currently, exactly everything is right now, the whole day we are currently evolved around media, and we look news, we look around these kind of avenues, we look around colleagues meeting us during strike. So there is a huge information flow currently suddenly coming into our life, and how that also will be surely affecting these decisions of investors, these decisions of business houses. So these are the certain points I really wanted to. Now, when we say everything is online, yeah, of course, there are things which are on online, and it's supposed, it surely evolve at different level of, different level of thinking business in the coming time. But then there are also businesses or also activities which cannot run on online. You see that, of course, you buy something, going to a grocery, you pick it up, fine. But to come that particular commodity to the rack, it requires a physical involvement, and you cannot eradicate that. Onlines, yes, can simplify these processes back end, but then when coming to physical requirement, you have to. Your kids going to school, you can give them an online, but when it comes to making their extracurricular activities, you can't do that online. So there are certain things which, of course, comes, we do it in a different way, but there are things which really cannot, cover it up. You have covered what exactly is growing in the market currently, and I do agree with what exactly it is. The onlines has been selling like, the connections, the internet connections are selling like the hotcakes. We are more keen on wellness. We have started spending time on it. We have started spending money on it to ensure that we are being properly immunized. Entertainment is another thing which you have highlighted, the Netflix, the Prime. So these are things which subscriptions which we have taken it. We try to engage ourselves with this. But then these entertainment things you cannot restrict them with these things. You have to, if you have to develop a movie, it has to be developed. So at a later stage, we all believe that the good times will come and it will all be back to normal. Till then the only thing which we have to look on is that we do this, what the government and authorities says. We follow the QHSC, which our companies say. We really go through the social distancing and the precautions which is necessary. So that's something which is going to change our life for some time, and until we come to a stage where a vaccination comes in picture or an antibody. Till then, I think this thing will change, of course. And when it comes to B2B, as I mentioned, it's really not that everything can be made online. There are things which requires a physical test. There are things which really require something which need to be physically done at site, done at the warehouses, which you cannot eradicate. And one of the other perspective I just wanted to put forward to everybody of in future we see that our short-term or long-term goals are not met on the timelines which we have set. We don't have to rush things on. We have to slow down here. Might be this is a time when nature wants us to rest a while and say, okay, this is, guys, take some time. So we all were rushing these days. And I think we will be having a little time for family, a little time for everything. And we also have to look forward for those people who are in tough times. So we may lose tomorrow our jobs. We never know. Being not very negative, but this is a reality. But then we know how to survive with that. We simultaneously have to help the people who we are kind of connected to. So these are other perspectives I just wanted to sort of put forward as a panelist. Over to you, Khyati. Thanks.
Yeah, I think Subhan Ali would really want to speak about it, a little more about it.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is doing fine. And as on my take on consumer behavior during the COVID 19 is consumers are actually a bit afraid, and they are worried, of course. The entire market is worried how the people are going to react, how people are reacting to the current situation and scenario. So people are holding their expenses and their money because the inflow is stopped. And in India, we were like 2 months of lockdown was there. So we have to see how the market is going to change. Now the higher market is targeting on a lower segment, and the lower is going into the more uh, I can say like uh, budget segment, you can say. So people are spending less and saving more, and that is a good thing, of course, because we have to save for the future and the current scenario, because we don't know how the market will go, and how long this COVID-19 is going to stay and affect the market in different ways. Like the virus is evolving, so we have to evolve according to the virus. And as Nadia told, that different industries are coming up, as Netflix and Prime. So there is a different shift to the market. So we are shifting towards a different market. So yes, we have to be prepared and updated uh, of the changes on the changes from the market. So yeah, I guess and Sanju sir already briefed about a lot of points from his industry, from business to business. So I'm here to tell you about the consumer and the consumer behavior, how it is changing. So yes, people are shifting to the budget segment. Yes, and we are catering. We are catering the budget segment and the premium segment, of course. The luxury segment is coming down to the premium segment. Yes. So I think that's my take on the consumer behavior during the COVID-19. And I think Rishi will take over from this.
Yeah, uh, I think
I think
we have lost Rishi because of
yeah,
some certain technical
some
and
issue.
network issues.
Yeah, he was trying to reconnect again and again. Yeah.
Yeah. So, as all the panelists have already said their part, I think some takeaways which I have from the whole discussion is that, for me, like ordering food was such a normal thing before COVID. And after that, I'm like, after 3 months of not ordering a single thing from outside, I feel like I don't need it anymore. So, this is the reality which I've come across. It's so simple, and it's so such a small thing I've been noticing, but yes, it has made such a difference. Like ordering food was so easy and so, such a everyday thing happening. And now ordering food, first of all, the safety thing, I think 100 times before even ordering a pizza from outside that, okay, will the person be infected, or he might or she might be coming from some place which is infected, and that makes me, think about, oh shit, if I have COVID, then these are certain things. And then after that, I think that, okay, is it even feasible to spend such amount on this? So is it even required? Okay, I think I can make a pizza at home. That might help. So this is how, like, with a simple ordering food, such a shift is there. And I think a lot of things have shifted. If we talk about education, if we talk about the consumer at all the levels, like not only at larger level or at the smaller level, I think everybody has just switched over to the necessity item now. Nobody is talking about buying things which was, like, okay, then talking about the red lipstick, now people are just okay with the red lipstick. I don't think they're talking about different shades and then wanting other things and maybe going to malls and then looking for the shade again and again. No, nothing is like we wanted, we just spent. The things we wanted are not like the luxury now, and the things we need are only the things we are actually buying. And also, adding on to what Nadia said, yes, think earlier it was think global and act local, but now I think it's think local and act local itself, because now it has the that with the COVID evolving, I think we as a society, we as a consumer, we as the receiver, we as the buyer, and we as the producer also have to evolve at all the levels to understand the market and how the market has been evolving during the whole COVID thing. Other than that, yes, rightly said that we need to rebound, reboot, and reinvent with the whole thing, which has already been happening. And I think we as a consumer also need a break to, stop buying things which were useless, I think. And now we have just shifted over to buying things. I think we have Rishi on the set. I think really, I really want Rishi to continue so that I can speak. I think later on. Rishi, are you like you? The system is fine now. The network. There are no network issues. I think still there's a technical glitch at Rishi's side. Rishi, I think you need to unmute your mic.
Hello, Khyati, can you hear me?
Yeah. Now, yes.
Yeah. So we are living in most abnormal and unusual times. So the marketing strategy and the consumer behavior both are changing, and especially from a supply chain point of view, we might be looking at certain abnormal peaks of demand, and we are expecting things to become. Things to be. There would be a new normal post COVID, and the consumer behavior is changing certainly. So certain segments will see an uptick, and while certain others will, the certain businesses might die down. So you might see an uptick in healthcare and stuff, whereas businesses like food and restaurants, these kind of stuff, these are going to have to reinvent their business models, like most of the other companies are doing it. In US particularly, there is companies are going in with do-it-yourself kits. So there are ready-to-prepare meals which you just order and you can just do it yourself and get it done. So companies who were earlier who went into dining sort of business, they are reinventing their business and they need to reinvent themselves, keeping in line with the consumer expectations, and most probably some of the behaviors that the consumers have formed in the lockdown period, they are going to persist. So businesses will have to reinvent their business models. That's a key takeaway from this post-COVID world. So that's the point that I would like to contribute. And another thing is that we're going to see a lot of fluctuations in demand, wherein certain segments will be affected very badly, while
Yeah, I think we lost Rishi again. And
hello,
I think he's trying to connect back.
hello, hello, Khyati, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was just
Yes,
saying
Rishi,
that
yes.
someone's loss is going to be someone else's. Yeah. So I was just saying that someone's loss is going to be someone else's opportunity, like it has always been. So businesses will have to reinvent themselves for sure. And digital marketing, yeah, I do agree that digital marketing is an important factor, but we will also have to figure out where the digital marketing is going to contribute towards a real, will it convert into real-time sales or not? So that also remains to be seen, because will employ using artificial intelligence,
Okay, so I
hello.
think, yeah, yeah, we have a question.
Yeah, Khyati,
I would really like
can
my
you hear me?
panelists to answer. Yeah, yeah. Uh, what are the possible growth predictions on online business? So, if anyone of you like to answer that question, Mr.
Um,
Sufyan Ali has asked that what are the
Online
possible
business.
growth predictions on online business?
I can take on that question if possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
So, okay, thank you. So I want to. So the online growth predictions, number one, it varies by industry, and the online growth predictions is continuously going to increase. Now, how fast, how slow, that's going to be varied by country, by region, by communities that are adapting to technology or not. So it's going to continue to increase because we obviously are communicating to the outside world through different online channels. We are listening to media every day through either BBC or Times of India. We are already on a technological dependence. So it's a matter of time. Some industries are going to start to shift towards online because our key communication method is going to be digital. And that's also going back to some of the other points I wanted to quickly make, is real-time sales. Are we going to achieve real-time sales through online? Yes, we are, but it will be not, the response time will be abnormal. It depends on your business, how your, when it comes to your website, social media channels, where are you communicating? What is your story? How are you able to connect with your community, your target market, your target segment? It depends. Sales is definitely key for everybody, but it really depends on how we're bringing awareness for that person to convert online. So online channel is growing. It's not going to decrease over time. It's only going to continue to grow. But again, it depends on adapting to technologies. And that varies by country, what resources they have to be able to adapt to it. Hope that answered. Yeah.
Thank you, Nadia. I think we have another question by Tanuja. Consumers are reducing their spendings for buying new, highly priced products to save their money. How long will it going to last?
That's $1 million question. Yeah.
Well, I would like to take up that question. Well, it's about behavior
Yeah.
and how long this epidemic is going to stay with us. I believe one of the things which Rishi has put forward is that there is new opportunities which will be opening up. How soon we will catch up? How soon we will have the money back to spend on these things? So there are a lot of factors which actually lined up to take on this particular question. But then I believe with the time we will come to a point where yes, things will revive. Things will come back to a stage where our spending goes back to premium, to luxury, and things like that. So we are human beings, and we come to that stage. It will not be very soon, but it will be. But saying a timeline would not be a correct time right now. But yes, I have no doubts that we will come back to a situation where we can come back to a situation where we were carelessly spending. But yeah, much more thoughtful. We because of this epidemic, yes, we will be much more thoughtful on spending in future. Yes. Anything, Nadia, if you want to add?
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Yes, I wanted to also make a point on that. It also depends on how those luxury brands are reconnecting with their customers. A business doesn't have to go out of business to be or kill their business or brand. It depends on the luxury brand. Prada is making branded face masks. That's an example of adaptation. So luxury brands are premium, their cogs are higher, but they can still connect with your community. They can still make that connection. Yes, consumers are cautious about how they're spending, but just remember that they will spend if they have the money to do so on a brand that's luxury, that's making an impact. Is that luxury brand partnering with local communities or nonprofits? What are they doing in their business? How are they communicating on their social channels? So yes, overall luxury purchasing is declining, but I don't think it's going to go flat because it depends on that brand.
I would like to add one thing on this with Nadia, that the luxury is losing the market, but the lower segment is going to gain when the luxury is losing the market, because luxury customer is going to spend somewhere for sure. So someone is going to benefit from someone loss. There's going to be someone's gain.
Absolutely, and that's again going back to think local, act local, because small businesses needs to be empowered today. We want to support our small businesses versus big brands who are getting probably government funding much more faster and more money than the local brands.
Yes.
And I just wanted to make one quick comment on Rishi. You mentioned DIY kits, do-it-yourself kits. That's amazing because there's a brand that's actually virtually matching your hair color, so you can color your hair at home versus in a salon. So when we talked about retail presence and physical presence, see, Asians, we look at the market, there's no concept of isolation in our culture and community. There's no, there are big families living in a house, right? Versus New York, where you have one or two people in an apartment. So culturally speaking, in most countries, regardless what's happening, they're not going to give up their personal space. So physical presence has to innovate. It won't disappear, but it has to be innovative. It has to rebound. For example, there are physical retail brands here that are promoting curbside pickups. So if you buy something online, you can go and pick up from their door, and that business is still open and surviving. So it's how we innovate. Nothing needs to go away, but it's how we're adapting, how we're innovating, how we're thinking outside the box, and again, when online communication is very important, because that is our window to the outside world today. As Khyati mentioned, like we as countries are opening, we still go outside looking at one person passing by and kind of shifting to the side, thinking, what if that person has or doesn't has? Because COVID doesn't always show symptoms. You can have COVID positive and 4 weeks later you're showing symptoms. So this virus is mutating. Consumers, we are adapting to it, and we're very careful and cautious. So online communication is not going away, but again, it depends on how we innovate.
Yeah, can I add just one point?
Yeah.
Yeah, so coming from a science background, I'll just like to state this in one point, that the entropy of the system remains constant. So irrespective of how things move, the entropy is going to remain constant. Someone is going to gain, someone is going to lose. But at the end of the day, we need to revolutionize things, innovate, and move ahead. Like when there was first revolution, for first industrial revolution, we moved on to second. Every time when we moved on, everyone thought there's going to be a huge amount of loss of jobs. But things moved on, new jobs came in. Now we are moving from fourth industrial revolution to fifth one, which is the AI one, AI, blockchain, and things like IoT. So this will open up new opportunities. People will come up with new solutions. And as humanity, we must be hopeful of things that we are all capable of doing. And the consumers, as well as the businesses, they will find ways to innovate and to find solutions for the consumers.
Okay, so we have a question. Many online delivery companies are laying off the workforce despite the fact people are more dependent on online delivery. So is our future going to be more dependent upon machines? We have Shafiq Khan asking this question, and I would really want you people to answer it.
Can I answer?
Yeah, please
For
go ahead.
sure, Rishi. Yeah.
Yeah. So things which are redundant and things which are repetitive. So these things are definitely going to be replaced by machines in the near future. Come 10 years down the line, these things are certainly be going to be replaced. But things where it involves a certain kind of creativity, we generally tend to underestimate the human intelligence and human brain. So those kind of things, maybe moving forward, we'll have to look at ways in which we could reinvent, we and machines both could survive and aid in the larger human picture. But as Shafiq rightly pointed out, yeah, redundant tasks and repetitive tasks, these are certainly going to be done away with machines, because once one company starts doing it and it will see the benefits. I mean, I speak of in my experience, most of the companies, and especially the big companies, they have started
I think we lost Rishi again. I mean,
Yeah, there's some issue with Rishi's internet
yeah, I
connection.
think
So,
so.
uh,
Yeah, I would really want you people, all of you, to give me a concluding remark. That would be really nice because we are, I think, on the way to conclude the whole show.
yes, I would just like to add one point to what Rishi was saying, that yes, the companies who are actually laying off their workforce, and on the delivery, on online delivery, the future of online delivery will be through the drones. Amazon is actually in talks with the Indian government and other governments to make it happen. So yes, in the future we might see a delivery drone instead of a delivery person or a courier boy. So yes, but this will be the future, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. And yes, it is going to affect many people's job, but yes, it is going to add some convenience to the consumer at the receiving end. So yes, that's my take on the laying off of the workforce of the online delivery companies. Yeah.
Uh, Sanju, I would like you to please conclude, like give a remark.
Well, in a conclusion, I would love to say that it's been a great, it's been a great discussion which we all together had. Especially Nadia was hitting on to the points, and she was very clear on what consumer behavior looks like in during the COVID as well as post COVID. Adding to those, I've just referred that it may changes from industries to behaviors can be also changing to what kind of a whether you are a consumer or you are catering to a B2B service levels. So that's what further Rishi added with more of which was very valuable, more, I think, more system centric. Adding to it, Shubham also came up with how his consumers will, how there will be a shift of consumers from so-called luxury to a premium play, and we later step back to a luxury spending as well. So that's what I would like to conclude with. Over to you, Nadia.
Thank you so much, sir. So to answer Shafiq Ji's also question, yes, we'll be replaced by machines, but I believe it's in the short term until there's a vaccine or treatment of COVID, and until we see zero cases, positive cases, and zero deaths by region. Temporarily, yes, it's a short term change, but I think in the long term, humans, like everybody mentioned, it's impossible for humans not to interact with each other. It's impossible. So hopefully there's a human evolution and a revolution I feel that's going to happen. It's happening in the next 1 year. And there are, yes, workforce, there will be layoffs. It's a reality, but I also believe that's where the government has to come in and help businesses to survive so that there are no layoffs. In conclusion, thank you, everyone. I learned a lot, and hopefully the new normal is going to be short term, and then it's going to be another decade of more innovations coming. So adapt, be flexible, think smart, think at a 360-degree angle. Digital marketing is here to stay, and it's definitely about how we adapt based on your country.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nadia. Thank you, Sanju. Thank you, Subhan. Thank you, Rishi. I think we have lost him because of the internet connection. And I think I would really want to conclude it like that way, that Charles Darwin has rightly said that the survival of the fittest. So I think we need to evolve and mutate as the virus is also evolving and mutating. So we have to evolve at all the levels, at the consumer level, at the buyer level, and at all the levels. So it was an amazing show. Thank you so much for amazing insight. It was very amazing, and thank you so much for giving all the time and all the information. We'll get back to you in the next show again. Thank you so much. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.